My family threw my sister out for being gay, and years later I skipped my brother's biggest night. My sister Cass came out to our parents when she was 16. She didn't get the chance to do it on her own terms. Our older brother Derek found a note in her backpack meant for a girl named Jo and marched straight to the kitchen table with it, reading it out loud like he'd caught her shoplifting. My mom went white. My dad didn't say a word, just stood up and left the room, which somehow felt worse than yelling. By that weekend Cass had a garbage bag of clothes on the porch and nowhere to go. She was 16, I was 20 and living 2 hours away, and I still remember the phone call where she asked if she could stay with me, her voice so small I almost didn't recognize it. I picked her up from a gas station that night because she didn't want our parents to see my car in the driveway and start something. She sat in my passenger seat for the whole 2-hour drive with her knees pulled up to her chest, not talking, just staring out the window. When we got to my apartment, she stood in my kitchen and said, "I don't even get it. I didn't do anything to them." I didn't have an answer for that then, and honestly I still don't. She stayed with me for a year and a half while she finished high school online and worked nights at a grocery store. I watched her rebuild herself from nothing, and it was not pretty or fast. There were nights she didn't sleep, sitting on my couch scrolling her phone until 4 in the morning. There were months she wouldn't talk about our parents at all, and if I brought them up she'd just leave the room. But she did it. She graduated, got a job she actually liked, and eventually met Jo again, years later, at a mutual friend's barbecue of all places. Small world. They've been together 4 years now, and Jo is, genuinely, one of the best people I have ever met. She remembers everyone's coffee order without being told twice. She drove 6 hours through a snowstorm once to help me move a couch because I mentioned it once, offhand, weeks earlier. You'd think enough time had passed that my parents would come around. They didn't. When Cass and Jo got serious, my mom told her, very calmly, over the phone, that she was welcome home for the holidays but Jo was not, because we don't need to make a statement at Thanksgiving. Cass didn't fight it, she just stopped coming home. My dad has called her exactly twice since then, both times to ask if she's seeing anyone who could actually give her kids. Derek, meanwhile, became the family's shining example. He made partner at his law firm last spring, and my parents threw him a party that honestly looked more like a wedding. A rented hall, a 5-course dinner, $400 of flowers, my mom crying happy tears into a microphone about how proud she was of the son who never gave us a single problem. My Aunt Linda pulled me aside beforehand and said, quietly, "Just come, smile, don't start anything," like she already knew what I was thinking. I was invited, obviously. I told my parents I had a work commitment I couldn't move. That part was a lie. I had the day off. I spent it at Cass and Jo's apartment instead, eating takeout and watching a movie none of us really paid attention to, because we all knew what was happening 2 towns over without us. Cass kept checking her phone even though she said she didn't care. Around 8, a cousin texted her a photo from the party, the whole extended family lined up smiling, and Cass just turned her phone face down on the table and didn't say anything for a while. My mom called the next day, and I could hear in her voice that she already suspected something was up. "Why didn't you really come?" she asked. I decided, for once, not to soften it. I told her I couldn't sit in a ballroom celebrating Derek for being a good son when the reason Cass isn't a problem anymore is that she stopped expecting anything from this family a long time ago. I told her banning Jo from Thanksgiving didn't make a statement disappear, it just made it permanent. She got quiet, and then she did the thing she always does. "I don't remember it that way," she said. Cass exaggerates. Nobody threw anyone out, she chose to leave. As if a 16-year-old packs her own garbage bag for fun. I've heard this version of the story so many times I could recite it in my sleep, and every single time, it's built to make my parents the ones who suffered. I told her I loved her, and that I'd be glad to come to family things again the second she could say, out loud, one time, that what happened to Cass was wrong. Not an apology performance, just an acknowledgement that it happened. She hung up instead of answering. Derek texted me 2 days later, furious. "You embarrassed the whole family. People were asking where you were. Do you know how that looks?" I told him the truth. That I remembered exactly what he did with that note at the kitchen table, and that if he wanted to be mad at someone for embarrassing the family, he should look at the group photo from the party and count how many of his siblings weren't in it, and ask himself why. He sent back one word, unbelievable, and then nothing else. Here's the part one didn't expect. A few weeks later, my cousin Priya messaged me out of nowhere. She'd been at the party, sitting near the family table, and she said she'd noticed the empty seats where Cass and I should have been. She said she'd always thought what happened to Cass was messed up but never had the nerve to say it out loud, because our family has a way of making silence feel like the safe option. She said watching me actually skip the party, and hearing through the grapevine why, made her feel like she wasn't the only one who thought it. She's since started showing up to things at Cass and Jo's place instead of family holidays, quietly, without announcing it to anyone else. Cass says she doesn't need my parents to fix this in order to be okay. She's got Joe, she's got Priya now too apparently, she's got me. Some days I believe her completely. Other days I still catch her staring a little too long at old family photos on my fridge, and I know some part of this never fully closes, no matter how good her life looks from the outside. My parents still tell the story where nobody did anything wrong. Derek still thinks I owe him an apology for missing his big night. And I still don't know if skipping that party actually changed anything beyond giving Priya permission to finally say something out loud. Would you have gone to keep the peace, or stayed home like I did? Because a year later, I still go back and forth on whether I made things better, or just made them quieter.